Hey everyone, good evening. Whoa, let's get my sound levels right first, shall we? Yay, there we go. How have you all been? How are you all doing? How have you been? How are you doing? And how will you be? Who knows the answer to that last one? Anyway, great to see you all. Some usual suspects in the room. Old radios, Barry, Super Cine 100. Ah, yes. Don't worry, we'll get to you, Super Cine 100. Ah, my goodness, it's been quite a while. It's been quite a while since the last show, hasn't it? I think it was even last year that I took a little extended break from the old camera show, and now I'm back, but not for a weekly thing. I'm just sort of like popping in and out whenever I've got the time and when I've built up enough stuff to show you. And tonight, oh my God, I've got some stuff to show you tonight. Oh my Lord. So Barry says, all's well with me, just getting older. Yeah, you and me both, mate. In fact, if you look at one of my first shows back in 2020, you can probably already see the aging that's happened. Still, we're all here and we're all fit and healthy, so that's something, isn't it? So anyway, what have I been up to since the last show? I've been up to so much that I'm actually going to go into it on a subsequent show, because otherwise we'd be here all day. But very briefly, I did a couple of exploding cinemas, presented one of them. I went to the Schmalfilmtage festival in Dresden, which is all about 16mm, 8mm and Super 8. Fantastic festival. I'll be going into all of that in another show. Met some of the German contingent of the Super 8 world. Some very familiar names to some of you who are regulars on the chat boards. And what else did I do? Oh yes, wrote an article for Super 8 magazine, the German one. I actually wrote it last year, but it just came out recently. And finally, I made a straight 8 film, and more about that in another show, because like I said, I don't want to get sidetracked tonight because we've got a lot to get to tonight. Oh my Lord, who's Old Radio says still on my list? Do you mean going to the German thing? Yeah, should be on everyone's list. It's amazing. The stuff I saw there, unbelievable. Holy moly. I'll get into it later. Anyway, firstly, into my box I go, because we've got something to show you here. Boing. And we'll get straight to it, shall we? Let's get the slideshow off for a moment. Now, settle down, class. Do any of you know what this is? Of course you do. Well, I've gone into this in a previous show. In fact, I've probably featured it on numerous shows, because it is, simply put, one of the finest Super 8 cameras ever made, which puts it in the running for one of the finest cameras ever made. I won't go into all. You have to go back to episode 4 or something, where I go into all the whole Beaulieu 4008 ZM2, because that's what this is. This is a Beaulieu. It's a hell of a camera. It has a removable lens. You can put all sorts of different lenses on it. It's got speeds going from 2 frames per second all the way to 70 frames per second. It's got a whole bunch of stuff. Now, Old Radio says, the one camera on my most wanted list I don't have. Well, Old Radio's, for me, it's the 3 Ns. It's the Nikon, the Niso, and the Nalcom. Those are my 3 bucket list Super 8 cameras. I'll get to those eventually. Well, maybe if I get one eventually, but who knows. Okay, so here's the Beaulieu. Lovely camera. What's the big drawback of this, other than having a really easily adjustable shutter angle? The drawback of this is this. It's the bloody battery. These things don't just run on AA's like any normal Super 8 camera. No, those lovely French people who made this decided on a completely different system. And it kind of makes sense now I've been looking into it for the last week. It kind of makes sense because this is a proper lens, as you saw. It's got a proper iris here. It's not just like a little flag which can go in and in front of the gate and out again, like most Super 8 cameras have. This thing has a proper iris which can open and close. You know, the old James Bond intro kind of looking iris. And it takes a bit of power to run that iris, a bit more than just swinging a little flag in and out of the picture for exposure. It takes a certain amount of power. Also, the motor on this thing also takes a fair amount of power. And this battery here has got to supply power to both those things, the motor and the accessory functions. Now, if you've ever owned a Super 8 camera with one of those little button cells that you have to get, as well as the AA's to power the motor, you've got to get a little button cell that powers the light meter. Big pain in the arse. Well, you'll be kind of used to cameras that run on two different batteries or that have two different voltages. What the Beaulieu people did, smart as they were, they ran both voltages off one battery. Here's the battery pack. It's a really rather marvelous looking thing here. It just screws right into here. And as you can see here, there are 3 contacts in this. There is actually 4 because the rim around here is the ground. So that's actually a 4th contact. But the 3 main ones are here. 3 contacts, and if you look at the bottom of the battery, in fact, let's get a better one to show you here. The bottom of the battery has got these funny concentric circles here. Dear, my green screen's not up to much today. Should we fix that? Should we just fix that at the start of the of the show? Why not? Yes, let's get the chroma key a bit less aggressive. That's better. Much better. Okay. Okay, so here's the battery pack. Oh, God. Here's the battery pack, and here are the concentric circles. And the center one goes in contact with this thing here. The outer ring, or rather the middle ring, contacts the this one here. And this outer rim and the casing of the battery, that's also an electrode, that will hit this contact here. Oh, that's the casing. Okay, so forget what I said about there being four contacts. What I meant was the casing here, not the rim around here, but the casing here is a contact. So there's basically 3 contacts. There's your earth, and then there's this one and this one. Now, what do they do, these different contacts? Well, let's employ a little bit of technology to give us a clue as to what the deal is. What is the deal with Beaulieu battery contacts? Right. Here I have a multimeter. Lovely stuff. It can measure voltage. And I stick one electrode in the center. And if I stick one touching the outside, 7.7 volts that's giving us. And if I stick it on this ring here, 3.8 volts. What's going on? 2 different voltages. So the battery can supply half as much voltage to the contacts going between these 2, and the full voltage with the contacts going between the center and the outside. That way, the camera can power its motor off this, and it can power the light meter and accessory functions of this. In fact, let's plug this in. This battery. Let's plug this in, and we'll just see that in action. Why not? Old radio says those wine cells. Yeah, bloody wine cells. I wish we didn't have to use them. Well, we don't really. Okay, so firstly, as soon as I press this button in, which is basically the power button, watch what happens here. Whoa! Okay, we got power here. And if I were to, let's get the old microphone on there, the accessory microphone. And if I was to push this in and pull the trigger, what have we got? Fantastic. So, we've got ourselves a working camera. Fantastic. But this is, because this isn't about the camera, it's about the batteries today. Here's the issue. Here's the problem. These batteries, and we're going to look inside one of them in a minute, but they've got rechargeable cells inside them. And rechargeable cells, well, eventually they go bad. You know, they have a limited number of charging cycles, all batteries that are rechargeable. They've got a limited number before they finally just give out. Even if you don't charge the battery and just leave it in a cupboard for 20 odd years, the battery's still not going to be any good after all of that, because eventually they just give out even if you don't use them. It's a fact of life. It's physics. So if you ever buy one of these cameras, you may well find that the battery that comes with it doesn't do squat. You try it, you start, there we go, nothing. Okay, battery's dead. Maybe this one can a little bit. Yeah, maybe that. So yeah, so you've got yourself the most phenomenally fantastic camera in the world, and a dead battery for it. So what do you do about that? Well, you have several options, I'm glad to say, because these cameras are so good that they actually sustain a bit of an industry in second-hand, reconditioned, reselled, and brand new batteries that you can put in these things. There's enough people out there who want to film on this thing for there to be a bit of an industry. So before I go into all the different myriad solutions to your power problem, because of course it's not just that sticking a battery in there is not the only solution, by the way. We'll get onto that later. Yes, before we get into that, let's have a look. What is inside one of these batteries? Well, the first thing you've got to do with these things is to get the lid off. You may see a screw here, and this thing goes around. So you think, oh, I just unscrew this. Yeah, you'll be doing that for a long time. It doesn't unscrew that way. This has to unscrew. In fact, I've got some pictures here. Let's look at some pictures. I have to credit everyone who put these pictures up on the internet, and I'm really hoping that I got the right. Dear, I'm going to switch off that. See, I've gone too far now. I've now. Let's just fix that again. I went too far with the old green screen. I could just switch this off, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to. There we go. I'm just going to sort of fix it as best I can. Right. In fact, let's get rid of that just for now. Okay. So here are some pictures from, I think this is from Bondi.de. I don't know who that is, Bondi.de. But this is how to get one of these suckers open. Barry says, do the French have tiny hands to use that grip? What about cameras like the 6008? Oh, they have a different system, I think, the 6008. Super Cine 100 says, I've never managed to get into one of those batteries. Super Cine 100, that's all going to change, because this is how you do it. Right, firstly, this thing's got leatherette on it. So you're going to have to get a razor blade and pry off that leatherette. Get it right under there. And once it's off, it's unfortunately, it's not very good, not very high quality images here. But over here, there are two little holes on the top. Now you can use one of these, which is a watchmaker's tool. That these prongs, it can be adjustable. They can go into these two holes, and you put the thing on, and you turn it, and it comes right off like that. If it doesn't come off, then it's probably because the cells inside this thing have got old and they've expanded with age, and they are now pressing against that lid and actually actively stopping you from unscrewing the bloody thing. If that happens, well, we found a solution. So Super Cine, listen out. Once you've got that off, then, oops, there we go. Once you got that off, then there's this nastiness inside here. What's that exactly? Well, it's the what the wrapping was around the original batteries, and a bunch of really disgusting old batteries in there. Now, the Beaulieu people managed to get hold of a stack of sort of circular coin set about the size, a little bit bigger than a 50p or a $0.50 if you're in America, and a bit thicker than that, like 2 of them stacked up. Each of these cells gives, I believe, 1.2 volts. Yes, so that means 3 of them will give a 3.6, and the whole of them stacked together is 6 batteries, and that's 7.2, I believe. Is that right? 1.2 times 6. Yeah, I think it's 7.2 volts. Okay. Now you want to throw these away straight away. They're disgusting. You do, yeah. Ugh. Oh my God. Whoever took this picture is probably dead now. Not nice. So yeah, so here's what's inside. You got to throw all that away. And well, in the case of Bondi.de, he said you could replace 3 of these with one of these cells, which is basically 3.6 volt battery. You can't seem to find these anymore, which is a shame. But I'll show you what people have done to get around that. Now, here are my pictures. This is me at Mr. X's laboratory, who helped me. Well, he basically did all the work. I just took pictures. And what we had to do was to actually drill deeper into these holes, and probably drilled right into the top battery as well. Yeah, nasty, but it had to be done. What we then did was, not quite yet. Oh yeah, wait a minute, there's a picture. Where is it? Bugger. Did I not get the picture? Okay, well, what we then did was to put 2 self-tapping screws. Maybe I can find that picture because it's an important picture. There it is. Okay, let's see if I can get this up here. Bear with me. Right. There, that's what we did. Okay, so we put the 2 screws into the bottom there, and then clamped this clamp on the screws, not on the battery. And that gave us enough purchase to get this thing. Have I got another picture here? No. Okay. We took enough. There was enough purchase. Once the screws were clamped down inside here, it held the battery so tightly that we were able to get a proper strap wrench around that and turn it. And eventually, it came out, and it was not a pretty sight. Let me tell you. So what I had to do then. Let's get the slideshow back on. There we go. So we got it open. Then I had to put everything underwater because it was not very safe to undo this thing and to get all the bits out in the air. So because you get dust flying around, you get toxic crap. So I put it underwater. This is actually 2. I think it was 2 batteries I did. I took it apart and I washed the hell out of it. And if you did that, what I'm doing, then this is what you have left. Okay, you've got these 2 cases. You've got a case here. You've got a ring. You've got this interesting thing. I've got that close up. I can show you. And then you've got the lid. Those are the bits you want to keep. Throw everything else away. Okay. In fact, that's cool. That's something I want to show you in a minute. So let's put these. So we've got this. Got this, the lid. We've got this very important electrode. I've covered it with tape here, with insulating tape. That is to stop it connecting with the casing of the battery. And it's got this funny looking stick which comes up and a little pole. Now I'll show you how that all comes together later, soon. So, let's see. So what Mr. X then did was that he made these for me, which were very, very, very nice. He made them on his CNC machine, which is like even better than 3D printing. Very, very solid. It drilled this out of this clear stuff here, and it made these. And he designed these himself, and I ought to share the CNC patterns. I'm going to go and see him on Friday, so maybe I'll get the original pattern off him if he's still got it. And the purpose of these is to sit inside the battery case and to hold a stack of new rechargeable cells. In particular, this is a Varta 1.2 volt, I believe it's called a V450HR. And you need 6 of these to get enough power to supply the camera. Okay, so you need to stack 6 of these. Now, this is a concept which is going to be repeated throughout the next few demonstrations, because you need basically you need to generate 3.6 volts, and you need to generate 7.2 volts. So each of these are 1.2. So a stack of them stacked up like that is going to give you a 3.6 volt is it current amps, isn't it, if I want to get really technical here. So that's going to give you 3.6 volts, and if you get another 3, let's get those other 3, that's going to bring it to the full complement of 7.2 volts. Oh god, I can't really hold these properly, but there we go. I'll just do them in my hand here. So you got 3.6 volts and 7.2. And in between the 2 sets of batteries, this is super important. In between them goes this electrode. So it's basically taking half the current and giving it out into this ring here, which then ends up here, just this bit here. Okay, so that's the basic sort of architecture of how these things work. The problem, there are 2 problems. Oh, there's numerous problems. Anyway, one of the problems is, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. So one of the problems with this thing is fitting all of this gubbins into one of these little battery cases, because they're not big. The tolerances are very, 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 very fine. Oh, that was my multimeter. So that's why these spacers are so cool, because they are specifically designed to fit one of these, 6 of these in a stack. And the way they go together is this. Maybe I've got it on pictures instead. Here we go. So yeah, so the bottom, stuck in there now. I've gone and got it stuck. Well, there it goes. Broken it probably. See, the tolerances are so fine that the bloody thing is stuck inside. Never mind. So that's the bottom. You put the electrode in there. You stack 3 cells into there. You put that into the casing, and you stack 3 cells into there, and that goes into there. This picture doesn't have them in. And then you put another spacer on top of that, and that will give you enough vertical leverage, enough vertical space to stack the other 3 cells. So you've got a stack of 6 cells with the electrode in the middle, and on the very top one, I had to put insulating tape around it because it was shorting out against the actual battery casing, which was not a good thing. If these things start shorting out, they start heating up, and then you're in real trouble. So I just put some insulating tape around it. And finally, look what Mr. X made for me. This is so lovely. He did a charger. You're going to need some way of charging these things, right? So here's the charger that he made for me. And you just basically stick that onto here and plug that in. I know it's got a European one, never mind. Stick that in and you wait until it's charged. I'm not sure, he didn't put a light. There is a light on here, which I think a red light goes out when it's charged up. But he made this as well, and this is just glorious, this thing. it's a voltage tester specifically for Beaulieu batteries. So I stick that in and boom, 7.7 volts, which is more than enough to power the camera. Just needs 7.2. It'd be quite nice if there was another electrode so you can get the half voltage. But if there's 7.7 coming from the whole stack of batteries, you can be pretty sure that that you're also getting 3.8 volts out of the other one. I mean, look, I've got this thing, so I can just use this really to test voltage. And then you stick it in your camera and you're all good. Now, I'm aware of the fact that not everyone out there has a CNC machine, and Mr. X has said that after all of this business, he is now out of the Beaulieu reselling game. He says he will refuse to do any more for anyone because, you know, the guy's a genius, but he's always on to the next thing. Ah, there it comes. It's coming out now. There we go. Just about. Well, we'll just let that stew over there for a bit. In fact, let's get all these away. So what have other people done? I know everyone. So like I said, not everyone's got access to Mr. X and his magic bag of tricks and his CNC machine and all the rest of it. So your options now are either to build your own battery or to buy one. So let's have a look at what people have done who've been in the same predicament and who've tried to or successfully managed to power up their Beaulieu camera with one of these batteries or with a completely different system. Let's see. So that's it on the thing there. Right, now, I believe this is Super Cine 100, who, hey, he's in the room tonight. So thanks, Super Cine 100, for giving me these pictures. He made his own case completely, his own battery case. And he put these in it. He got these, each of those cells inside there, I believe, are 1.2 volts. And each of these sealed up packets are 3.6 volts. And in fact, if we look quickly on my second screen here, yeah, the Varta batteries that I just showed you, they can also come packaged in threes. £18.73. So you're going to need two of those if you use these. But Super Cine 100, yeah, he says Mr. X seems to be quite the genius. You have no idea. You know, sometimes, and I found this in Dresden, sometimes you meet someone who knows so much more than you that it's actually refreshing. You feel kind of childlike talking to them because the complete sum of everything you know is already in their head and more, much more. So yeah, I would love to get him on the show, but he's a little camera shy. Anyway, so this is what another genius, Super Cine 100, did. And if you have questions about it, well, he's right here in the chat. You can ask him questions. So he put these two together. He wired them together and wired them separately. So you got the I think you got the 3.6 volts coming from there, and these two will give you the 7.2. And there they are, just clipped right into the contacts of the camera. And here are the bits that connect up to those. And yeah, when the whole thing is connected up and the thing is put back on there, it all fits very nicely. And there's his camera. Funnily enough, that battery compartment looks like he's enlarged it, but I think it's just that this kind of ring around here. So yeah, and he says it works great and it charges up. So there's a solution. If you're a little bit technical, you can make your own battery like Super Cine 100 did. Oh, and that's the charger. It's just a plug. You plug that thing into into there when you want to charge it up. I would say easy peasy lemon squeezy, but you know, to some people this is difficult, lemon difficult. Now, what's this? Here's another solution. Ah, yes, I think this might be from who's this from? This might be from Erkan Umut, who is someone you need to look up his work with this whole Beaulieu thing. because in fact, I've put lots of links in the description below to all the research I did, all the stuff I worked out, all the Erkans. Some of it were discontinued, and I had to find them on the Wayback Engine. But I've put the links all down in the description below. So after this show, go and have a look at some of those. It makes for very interesting reading. Especially Martin Baumgartner wrote a whole essay on powering up these cameras. Martin Baumgartner, he's another one who knows everything I know and more. So I think this is what Erkan did, which is that he put these in. He made these spacers, which hold together. Looks like a battery all in one, but that's actually two. That's two little batteries stacked. In fact, if we've got a picture. Here we are. Yeah, these are actually, yeah, there we go. There's one. So we got these little things, and I think these are still available. 1.2 volts, shouldn't be too hard to get hold of. Get 6 of those. Little bit harder to get hold of is this. I mean, I don't know if he 3D printed them or what, but I mean, the people's inventiveness really knows no bounds. He managed to fit all of this into one of these little cases here, with the 3 of them, and I'm assuming he's got some kind of connector. In fact, that might be it there, like halfway, to give you the 3.6 volt connection there. Yeah, look, I think that's he's ringing. Oh, I've got to stupid blue screen. Maybe this will help. Let's get some extra light on here. That's made it worse. Let's okay. So the last time I'm gonna mess around with this thing, but it's. Oh my goodness. I think it's because I'm wearing blue gloves, you know. Okay. All right. Well, that's as good as we're going to get it. So there it is. So anyway, Old Rare says, that's cool. It certainly is. Yes. Right. So that's Erkan Umut's way of doing it. And to be honest, there is a lot to be said for fitting all of this gubbins into one of these things, because then it fits in the camera nice and flush. There's not much. It's not sticking out too much. Some of these things stick out way much because they've gone and put full-size batteries in them, which is great for your battery life, but it might be a little bit wearing on the screw threads here if you've got this F-off battery sticking out. Well, we'll get into that. So that was Erkan's solution. Get hold of these things. I don't know what they're called, but you can find one now. Scott Chamberlain sent me these. Now, here's an alternative. Now we've strayed from the actual batteries. Well, the wearable batteries, the batteries that go on the camera itself. And now I've got something here that plugs into the camera. And what's that thing there? What that is there is this. And this is very cool. It comes in 2 parts. Okay, so you put your battery into there, screw it in as normal. You get a long wire, and then you screw this into the camera. This is not a battery. This is a blank, a dummy, I guess you could call it. God, my hand's all just floating now. This is a dummy, which will screw into the camera there. Why not do that? That screws into the camera there. Now you've got a plug you can put a wire into. And once you've got a wire, now you can supply that thing with power from an external battery. And that opens up that blows it wide open, blows the whole field wide open. As you can see now, Scott has got his plugged into this, and let's get some more pictures there. Hey, Manny's in the house. Hey, Tio Manny. Great to see you back at it, says. Yes, well, it's nice to be here. It was a hell of a lot of work, and I'm not going to be doing them every week religiously, but anyway. Super Cine 100. Is that an original accessory? Yes, this is an original accessory. This was actually made not so much for running a huge external power, but it was actually made because the batteries back in the day did not behave very well in cold weather. So the idea was you would put this like in your pocket, or even some people put it in their armpit, which is a bit yucky, to keep it warm. and then they would have a wire going from here into the camera. So yeah, this is an original thing. You can buy these. They're horrifically expensive. I was lucky enough this came with a camera I bought. But for what I paid for the camera, plus this accessory, plus a battery, plus a charger, that was less than what they're charging in some places just for this thing. I mean, we'll get onto the price of everything later, but Jesus. So anyway, let's see what Scott Chamberlain did. He's got one of these plugged into the camera. This is not mains powered. It looks like it's mains powered, but it's not. That's the battery here. So that's where it plugs in. They do that with old Polaroid cold packs. Interesting. Very interesting. Here's the charger. So this thing would plug not into the camera. It plugs into the battery. And look, it's made by Super 8 Sound. You know who that is? That's Pro 8mm before they went to Los Angeles. That's my old mate Phil Vigent and his crew. And yeah, they used to be called Super 8 Sound. Scott didn't buy this from them. He said he got it from, or maybe he did. He said he got it in Massachusetts, I think. So there's the batteries. Look at that. These are big ones. These are C cells. That would power the camera for a long time. Of course, you've got to lug this battery around, put it in your pocket, and have it plugged into the camera every time you use the camera. But hey, you know, I've seen worse. What else? And that plugs into there. So yeah. So that's a solution. Once you have one of these things. If you have one of these and you want to buy one of these battery systems, well, let's have a look online because I've got something to show you of interest. Not that. Look at this. This guy in Canada, on eBay, his name's Mignon1. This has been on sale for ages. I've seen them selling this for ages. And basically, he or she, could be a she, has made this system here where he's basically made a Beaulieu battery here, which fits inside the has this big chunky cap goes onto it, which is probably custom made. So you can get this on eBay for what's this, $126 US. I think he makes them to order. Now this is interesting. This is the original way that these cameras were charged. The batteries were charged. Back in the day, you wouldn't actually have a separate charger for these batteries. You would put the where is it? There it is. You'd screw the battery into the camera and you'd plug this into here. Then you'd plug this into the mains. They're very, very, very adamant about the order in which you do this. You do not plug this into the mains first, then into the camera. You get this all screwed in, plug this thing into the mains. This is a original Beaulieu battery charger. Now, these chargers are older now because they haven't made them for a while. The electrics might be a bit dodgy. In fact, Mr. X told me in no uncertain terms to not charge my batteries this way using the camera as a charger. He's saying electrical things can go wrong with the chargers. That can feed into the camera. It can fry up your camera nice and crispy. And then you're left with nothing. So if you do find get a power solution for these Beaulieus, try and get one with its own charger. Super Cine 100 says, that looks similar to my cobble together. The battery case is actually an M42 camera extension tube and body cap. Wow. Hey. Oh, Tio Manny's got to go. All right. See you, Manny. Check me on the replay. Because it's only getting warmed up now. Anyway, so what other options do we have? Let me check my notes here. Right. Okay. You could buy an entire bespoke battery system from one of several suppliers of people who actually make these batteries. They make them brand new, starting with, let's see, Wittner, our old friends, Wittner Cinetech. There's a battery there. It's for sale. There's all sorts of Beaulieu accessories. Beaulieu 4008 battery, 800 megaamps N loop, 699 euros. What a bargain. I mean, these things are made, and it says that they're actually, actually put in the thing here. They said, you do not pay for the material value here, but for the time it takes to assemble this accessory from individual components, plates, springs, screws, etc. So they may have had complaints already. Not complaints, but people may have raised an eyebrow. So buying a battery that costs as much as an entire camera. Right, Remjet's in the house. Season 6. Hell yeah. Thanks for supplying free and immense knowledge. Hey, you're welcome, Remjet. Thanks for joining us. What else have we got? So you could buy one from Whitner here. In fact, it says currently unavailable. So maybe you can't buy one from Whitner. What else have we got? Tested Super 8 cameras. They're another supplier of these batteries. In fact, it's interesting, this company, because they make the battery itself. Let's see what we've got here. They make all sorts of solutions here. But you can also, there you go, you can get the battery. Oh, that one's out of stock. Whatever. But you can also buy it as a kit. Not this one. That's the oh, I see. That's a sort of a battery outside with the thing there. But you can also, where is it? Battery components. You can just buy the components here. They do it from R16s. They do it for Lycina. Yeah, they got a lot of battery products. These people. So you could always go to one of them. Again, a little on the pricey side. Everything here is like in the 500-600 euro range. I think the cheapest possible thing. Here we go. What's this? Battery GP, 254 euros. Yeah. So if you're going to buy a bespoke one, then yeah, you will pay a pretty penny, as they say. What else we got? Now these are the new kids on the block, Ausgeknipst, who are selling batteries for £132 here, a little less. And the interesting thing about them, well, apart from the fact that I have one right here, they've sent me one to review. They 3D print this, and it's in 2 parts. When I got it, I thought, oh no, it's falling apart. The first thing I had to show you about this is that, as you can see, they take AAA batteries. You don't need to mess around with your Eneloops or your NiCad or anything like that. You can just buy some AAA batteries and fit 6 of them right here into this. Well, sort of it looks like one of those. Looks like part of a gun, really. Now, let's play battery Russian roulette. One of these was from Cash Converters. There we go. And so you just plug your batteries into it. You line up these contacts with the contacts in the camera, and you get this thing, and that just goes over the end and screws right on like that. Boom. I'll be talking a bit more about this in a minute. But before I get onto that, what other options do we have? Right. No, that's the long one. Okay, that's the last one. So, what have we got here? What else can I show you? Okay. Here's an interesting one. It says Beaulieu on it. I don't think Beaulieu made it. I think that's just a label, and it has been custom made, possibly by the Tested Super 8 camera people. But this came with a camera package that I bought from someone who is now sadly deceased. So I will never know where this came from, who made it, or how old it is, or what kind of treatment it's had. So I'm going to test that. We're going to test this. In fact, let's get that background off. It's rather annoying. There we go. So we're going to test this. We're going to test this. We are going to test Let's test one of Mr. X's. Here's one of Mr. X's. Doesn't have the nice cap on it. But that's the one with the some electrical tape there. So we're going to test that. That's got the Varta cells in it. And we'll test this one. Now, this is an interesting one. This is one that I sent off to Bjorn Anderson, who is the Beaulieu fixing guy. And I sent him one of these, which is, Mr. X's one. And with the camera that I sent him, he did a repair job on the camera. But he also gutted my battery and he did send me all the guts back loose, but he reselled it without me even asking. He reselled it and I don't know what he put in it. So this is another mystery one. If let's see, 7.7 volts. Yeah. It's a good battery, I got to say. I suspect that it's those little spherical ones, the Erkan Umut ones. Let's see which one's there. This, I think it's got this in it because it's lighter than the Varta battery one. So it's Duffy's got something different to Varta in it. Anyway, I mean, it was nice of him to do that. I didn't exactly ask him to, but whatever, it works. Barry asks, the AA batteries are 1.5 volt and the rechargeables are 1.2. Will that overpower the camera and electronics? Barry, you are way ahead of me. I don't have a AAA battery charger, so you are correct. This is the batteries I just put in here are full-on 1.5 volt batteries. And as a result, in fact, I've got my multimeter here. Let's actually see what kind of voltage this camera is giving us, this battery is giving us. So 4.8 in the center, and oops, what is it? Here we go. It's these. Wait a minute. It's this one. 9.7 volts, and 4.8. Yes, that is too high of a voltage for. That is a higher voltage than these cameras were designed for. You say, will that overpower the camera? I haven't actually noticed much difference because when I recharge one of these, the Bjorn one or the Varta one, when they're freshly charged, they usually go like 8 volts or so, and that goes down. I mean, even if it was freshly charged to 7.2 volts, that's still going to go down. So I think the camera is actually quite resilient and can handle a few volts above the recommended dosage, shall we say. So I might be, talking out of my arse, and my camera might blow up tomorrow, but it seems to work. It seems to work. Fingers crossed. Who knows? Maybe it's giving me. Maybe it's giving me. Maybe it's underexposing or overexposing. I wonder if the voltage. I don't think so. I think the exposure is correct, but how fast the ring moves tends to change. Whether I've got a 7.2 volt or like a 8.5 volt battery in there, like it very quickly whips the ring around. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Here are the 4 batteries we're going to try out, okay? Once again, Mr. X's Vartas, Bjorn Anderson's Mystery, possibly those little ones. Mystery battery made, I don't know by whom, but I'm assuming it's got your kind of longer batteries in it. Maybe it's maybe it's got AA's rechargeable. I don't know. It's certainly got a lot of room in there for batteries. So, and I can't get it open, which is another issue I've had with this one. And finally, the 3D printing one. Now, how do we test these batteries? How do we test them? We have to be consistent across the whole line. We have to apply an equal amount, or as best as we can get to it, an equal amount of power drain on these for an equal amount of time, and subject them to the same power drain, and then measure the voltage before and measure the voltage afterwards. I don't know why I'm pointing this and this, but whatever. So, yeah. So how do we do that? Well, of course, you know, the test of these batteries is how many rolls of Super 8 you can run through the camera. You know, I could stick one of these in, shoot an entire roll of Super 8 without stopping. And if the battery still works, put another roll of Super 8 in there, shoot that without stopping, because you can't just start and stop because you have to be consistent. And then just keep putting one cartridge after another into this until it pegs out, and see which one pegs out first. Brilliant idea. I don't have 20 cartridges of Super 8 I'm going to just burn up right now. So that's out of the question. Also, you know, these cameras are old. I'm not going to run the motor on this any more than I really have to. So I do not want to tax my poor Beaulieu motor by running roll after roll, or even running it empty, which is not even good for the camera. I can't just run the motor. So forget the motor. How about the motorized iris? There's a little motor inside. That's not that one. I think it's this one. There's a little motor inside this thing which turns this thing back and forth. Okay? And every time it does it, it uses a bit of power. Okay? So it's much easier and much less strain on the camera to just power it up, put one of these batteries in. I'll do that in the other direction. I'll do that in the other order. Put one of these batteries in, power it up, and then let it just run its iris back and forth for a bit. Sounds like a good plan. Like, do that for exactly 1 hour, and hopefully it'll take the same amount of power out of each of these batteries while it's doing that. Now, what's our problem now? How do you get the camera to do that? How do you get it to behave in such a manner? You can't just move to England and wait for the sun to come in and out, because, well, let's face it, that's a pretty good. You've got a pretty good chance of wearing down your iris battery if you shoot outside in the UK, because the bloody light's not consistent ever. So what else can we do? What can we do with this? Well, I had the genius idea of switching on CBeebies, which is a TV channel for kids and young people, kids and babies more, and pointing the camera at the TV. Why CBeebies? Because their shows are a constant riot of changing images and flashing imagery. And when I pointed the camera at the TV, this is what happened. And there it goes. That's pointing at, and it went bananas. It couldn't work it out. It's you point this at CBeebies, and yeah, your iris is going to be opening and closing constantly for like an hour. Well, for as long as your battery holds out. Like that, see? It's pointing at the... So that's how I did it. Old Rio says, lots of bright colors. You're damn right, lots of bright colors. I would have shown you the full setup, but I didn't want to include the, I didn't want to include the TV in the shot in case they did me for copyright. So yeah, there we go. You can sort of see it in the corner there. Oh, it's a noisy one, isn't it? Needs a bit of lubrication in there. So I did that. I did that for 1 hour for each of these batteries. I measured the voltage before. I measured the voltage after. And I plotted it on a bloody graph. Oh. Because, you know, I can sit here and tell you the results. In fact, I'll sit here and tell you the results. Then I'll show you the graph, because then you can really tell. Okay, so the Mr. X started off at 7.9. It ended after an hour. It read 7.7. Bjorn started at 7.8. After an hour, it was at 7.56. The mystery one started at 8.2. After an hour, it was down to 6.8, which is not good. And the 3D printed one started at 8.8, and after an hour went down to 8.42. I want to just say something about this not performing as well as the others. Like I said, I don't know how old this is. It has very likely got an old or a couple of old cells in it. So it's not really fair to test it against these ones because, you know, when this was new, I bet it was hot shit. And I'm sure that if any, you know, any battery manufacturers out there send me a testing sample of one of their batteries and I charge it up, then it's going to behave perfectly. But this is more of a warning to people that even the best batteries eventually will run out, will reach the end of their charging cycle. So with that said, let's have a look at a graph of all of these results. Let's get this. Put the slideshow back on. Here we go. And the graph. Here we go. Oh, I love data. So this side, my hand's worse than ever. I'm going to find something to point with. No, forget it. Maybe this will be better. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So this side up to there, that's 1 hour. 1 hour of doing that iris business. Okay. This is just extrapolated lines, like just continued the lines. I know that sometimes they go down slowly and then suddenly they go down big, but I just extrapolated all the lines to see where they would hit the axes. So up here, the yellow line, that was this one. That was the 3D printed one. It's higher than the usual voltage because I didn't put 1.2 volt batteries into it. So yeah, I probably gave it like 9 volts of batteries or so. Anyway, so as you can see, slowly goes down. This blue and green ones side by side, they are the Bjorn battery. The slightly higher up one is the there we go. The slightly higher up, the blue one is Mr. X's. That's this one. And the slightly lower, the green one, that's Bjorn's. So they're pretty much level pegging. They went down as at the same rate pretty much, and the similar rate to the 3D printed one. This was the mystery battery. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it started well and then it just went right down. And this is really indicative of what happens when the cells give out in a battery. It looks like it'll charge. It'll test like it's fully charged. As soon as you put any load on it, yeah, it doesn't work anymore. So I don't know. Whoever made this made it very, very, very solidly, and probably put some very good batteries into it. And I wish that it wasn't old, this battery, because it was probably a real killer. And now it's dead. Here's the problem really with this battery and with the problem is not that it didn't retain its charge. That's just age. That's nothing to do with the actual quality of the battery. The problem is that these, yeah, like the Vitno one as well. These new constructed batteries are built like Fort Knox. You are not supposed to be able to unscrew them and resell them. I mean by resell, not sell them to someone. I mean C-E-L-L. Okay, so it's once this is done, if you're lucky, that whoever made this would have a service where you sent it back to them. They resell it for a fee, maybe not quite 700 euros, but they resell it and then they send it back to you. I would suggest anyone making these to offer that service for depleted batteries when they finally give out. That would be a good idea. I'm not doing it myself. Like Mr. X, I'm out of the reselling game. I've got enough batteries to last me for a while. So I guess if you really sawed it open and cracked it open, you could just about get it open. But then, it's half knackered. It's nice to have a good solid lump. On the other hand, this thing has everything you would want in a Beaulieu battery, in that if your batteries go, if they, let's get this off. If these batteries run out, you just pop them out. You pop them out and you put new ones in. Easy, 2 minutes it takes. You could put rechargeable ones in, and then you could charge them separately, put them back in here. In fact, it's better to use rechargeable ones if they're 1.2 volts. Here's the problem with this one. I think you're not. Sorry, what were your names? Sorry, I should say. Auske Knips. Thank you for sending me this, guys. But you've got a real issue with these contacts here. Notice all these batteries. They've got these circular contacts. You know why they've got those circular contacts? Because when you screw this thing in, you don't know where it's going to stop exactly, and you want to be sure that you're going to make contact with these contacts in the camera like this. When I put this in here and I line them up, they've written top there, which is great. Okay, top, fine. So I've lined them up. I think they're touching. When I put this thing in and screw it in, it loses the contact. It doesn't. I know it still says top there, but never have I managed to screw this in and to maintain contact. Listen, nothing. The only way I managed to get a contact was to hold it and maneuver it in a very specific place. And then finally, it actually started working. I can't even. No, it's. So, guys, I'm talking to the makers of this thing here. You're on the right track. You're nearly there. You know, it's a great idea. Get an electrode like this onto the top of it. Otherwise, this thing, well, let's see. See if we can, I mean, in theory, you should be able to do this. I've even got this thing. In fact, I'm going to tell you now how I got around this whole problem with this battery. I'm going to sit back and have a little drink while I talk, well, myself from the past. The old radio says that's a design flaw. I can imagine. Yeah, it unfortunately is. They came so close. So what did I do about it? This is what I did about it. Oh, yeah, by the way, do you want to see how I did the test? Yes, let's see how I did the test, the battery test. If this wouldn't go into the camera, how did I test the voltage, do my test with the CBeebies? This is how I did it. This is how I had to do it. Yep, I had to get various contacts and then use alligator clips, even a car one. I mean, guys, this is not practical. It works, but that's what I had to do. So I can't really walk around and film with that kind of business going on beside the camera. Anyway, so let's see how I solved the problem. Okay, so here's the issue. We want to go from these pin connectors here into this thing, so that can be screwed into the camera and we can run some sort of cable between them. So first thing is to work out what kind of plug will fit into this. Now, despite the number of holes there, it's been identified as a 3-pin DIN. So I sent off for one of these, which is a simple 3-pin DIN plug. Let's try saying that quickly. And although it doesn't have the locking collar that the official ones have that locks it in here, it will plug very nicely and snugly right in there. So now we're going to have to make some kind of wire that goes between here and here. So whatever wire we put between them has to have three cores. And of course you can find very easily loads of 3-core wires by simply disassembling an old kettle lead that's got 3 cores there. So we're gonna snip the plug. We're going to snip both plugs and use this wire, solder this wire between here and here. And in a minute we're going to see how absolutely abominable my soldering is. Old mains wiring is a very useful source of 3-core wire. Certainly is. I've used it. I've used it for speakers.
Of course, we're not going to be carrying anything remotely like the level of voltage that these are designed to take. This is for 13 amp mains wire, so it's a bit overkill, but it doesn't matter. Better overkill than underkill. Oh dear, look, I fucked up there. See, that's, you don't want to have a short out.
So I've sped this up because you want to watch me strip wires for 20 minutes. I'll do another channel where I'll do that. Extended.
Do the same to this end.
I love those wire stripping tools, by the way. Essential piece of kit. Well, I stopped talking at this point because I probably was swearing so much. Anyway, so I'm going to talk live over this bit. So this is how you get one of these 3-pin DINs open. And it's a really cheap one. It costs like £3. And inside is just like an extremely cheaply made little pin thing. Now, you've got to solder it onto those short, tiny little pins in there. And this is where using mains wire was not a good idea. Now, this is what you always forget. Put the wire through the casing first before you do anything. Because if you do all of that soldering and then you forget, oh, it's so annoying. So yeah, mains wire, it turns out it's quite chunky. I didn't need to be this heavy duty, really, with when making one of these 3-pin DINs. Now here's some great soldering here. Let's just watch this magnificent...
Oh, fucking hell.
Who cares about tariffs? We can make everything here in the UK, can't we? Oh yeah, I tried. Oh,
fuck's sake!
Yeah, I tried to crimp it, and that went about as well as could be expected. Then I had the idea of tinning the wires, like getting some solder sort of like on the ends of them, and that actually kind of helped things. Old Ray says, I've got to figure out how to solder a battery pack for a radio I got over the weekend. If you're going to solder anything, by the way, oh yeah, so how's that ended up? It ends up all right. If you're going to solder a battery terminal, as sometimes you have to solder or desolder one, you have to get a low power solder that's not going to mess up the battery with the heat, because you can really cause some problems with like a 40-watt solder. That's how it ended up. So yeah, it'll do. It just about. So then I put the sheath over the end of that. Oh yeah, notice the pins are now different lengths. That was my doing. Nice one. Okay, so now I thought it'd be just easy to solder the other end to the 3 contacts here. They're much easier to reach, bigger contacts. The little bastards would not take any solder. They wouldn't. I've tried so much solder. I tried heating it. It just wouldn't stick to these things. I don't know what they made them out of. Kryptonite or something, but solder will not stick to the fucker. Language. So I had to come up with another idea, which is basically just to jam them into these holes and wrap them around. So there's no actual solder there, just in contacts there, jammed in there. I mean, these little contacts, they've got a little screw thread, so there must be some better way of doing it. But I just did that and then covered it up with, of course, the good old Tesa precision masking tape, which is my go-to fixative tape in any conditions whatsoever. It's the best stuff. So that's the DIN, the end, as I've put the sheath on it, and at the other end we've got this. Well, I've got this, which is the battery pack from Auskenmuck guys, and a wire. And yeah, and well, let's have a look at the actual thing, shall we? Here we go. So what have we got here? At one end, there's the 3-pin DIN, and there's the battery pack, which is all soldered and everything. Here's one I made earlier, and it's a very simple job to screw that in there. Of course, you need one of these, and these don't come cheap either, I tell you. But you could always, you could just do what the other, what Super Cine 100 did, and get the bare wires, get a connector, put them on connectors down inside that thing. This is quite elegant. You can just plug it straight in there, like so. And there we go. And there it goes. Happy as a lamb. You just got to carry this thing around with you, or attach it to the camera somehow. That's possible. Nice. So that's what I did. And let me tell you, I did not realize how deep a dive it would be just to get this bloody camera powered up. I did not realize the rabbit warren I was falling into. And all the people who've been there before me and left all these like clues as to how to do this. Remjet says electrical mastermind. I hope you mean electrical. It's the one in my PFP. Oh yeah, you're talking about your old radio's got an old radio. Hey, Flying O's in the house. Old radios. Yes, it works. Fantastic. So Flying O, you've missed unless you've been lurking and you've missed most of the show, but you can always go back. This is the fun part anyway. Let's see. So what would be, just to conclude, batteries will always die in the end. That's just a law of physics. What would be the perfect Beaulieu battery? Well, one that could fit flush with the camera would be nice. I don't think that's going to happen because even the official ones stick out a bit. It would definitely need to have either contacts like the rings here, or maybe you could just screw it in and then never have to unscrew it again, and there would be just a little cover and you could just pop some batteries in like a regular Super 8 camera, like all the other Super 8 cameras. That's what I want. That's what I really want. Is something you just snap open and there's like 6 cylinders for like this for batteries already built in, and just boom, 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 AA, 1.2 volt, 1.2 volt, 1.2 volt, 1.2 volt, 1.2 volt, 1.2 volt, all in there together. Snap the cover closed, and the camera's working. Beaulieu, if you're listening, you're not listening because you're dead, probably. No, is Beaulieu still going? They're certainly not making batteries anymore. Look, I've only scratched the surface here, guys. It's there's even more stuff. There's apparently was some fake batteries going around. I don't know. It was such a rabbit hole. But if you have one of these cameras, I hope I have given you some ideas about how to get it powered up. You can just go to the pros and buy one if you don't want all the bother, or you can sort of rig something up using the internet and some of the links I've put below. Or you can, I don't know, go the whole way and resell an original one yourself. But of course, for that kind of expertise, you're going to need a Mr. X in your life. Or just work it out for yourselves. Aldred says they made video cameras in the 80s. Yes. Beaulieu made a high 8 camera. Bizarre. I don't think it's sold at all. Anyway, should we wrap it up? Should we watch a film? I think we should watch a film. Let's watch a film. I think I've said everything I can possibly think of to say about these things. Given us all a lot to think about. I really should have put 1.2 volt batteries into that thing, but what are you going to do? Right. The camera seems to be able to stand it. The film tonight is called Desperate Scoundrel, which is a fantastic name for a film. It's like Desperate Housewives, but like maybe an all-male Desperate Housewives. I don't know. Desperate Scoundrel. Anyway, it's going to take me a minute to convert the show here into a screening room. Firstly, let's turn off the lights, and then I'm going to move this over so you can. Okay, there's the projector is now on the wall. Bear with me. I'm going to have to unplug for 1 minute while I... Oh, Flying O says, your choice for rechargeable AA batteries. The one everyone talks about are Eneloop. Eneloop. A friend of mine said, I think he had like... It was like a car manufacturer, something like Hyundai. He said, unexpectedly, like amazing rechargeable batteries. Hyundai or Mitsubishi or who knows, whatever it was the Rolls Royce of batteries. Anyway, let's get the show ready. I am switching off the bright light. I am switching on. Switching on the DSLR. I've switched on the. Where is it? There we go. Hey, there we go. And once again, as usual, to prove that this is not a recording and we're live watching my wall. There I am. So all it remains now is to start some music, to switch off the last light, and to start playing Desperate Scoundrel. It's not very long. It's working. A little bit too loud. Let's take that down slightly. There we go. Okay. Let's watch Desperate Scoundrel. Okay. So they did this a lot in those silent movie days. There's a lot of running from one room to another. I think they'd only just discovered editing. Now, is he the scoundrel? I guess he is the scoundrel. Hey, Stas Vlad. Nice to see you, Ben. Missed the broadcast to watch the recording. Hey. Joining us. God, it's over. Oh my God, it's already an hour 18 minutes. Woo. Worst possible music. Oh, it's the Keystone Cops. All right. Some more inappropriate music. We need the blinky plonky music, don't we? Has thrown him into the laundry vat. A Black Hawk film? Who the hell knows? You see, they're such subtle acting back then. You know, it was... Oh no! What's he? Oh God! Oh, they got the money back from the Desperate Scoundrel, and now he's going to drown himself. I don't know. Okay. All right. Well, that was a bit weird, but that was Desperate Scoundrel. I don't know. I tell you, this free YouTube music is horrible. I'm going to start paying someone to do music. That's all there is to it. Okay. Bye, everyone. Till next time, keep those Beaulieu 4008s powered.